I watched her as she spoke, so focused, so animated, just being herself. Her hands danced through the air, weaving stories with her words, almost as if she was trying to help me see the world through her eyes. Lately, we'd been diving deep into conversations about our future, our wedding plans, dream destinations, and even the silly stuff like what kind of couch we'd choose or where to hang the TV. But there was something weighing on me, something I needed to address before we moved forward. So I leaned in and said, "Baby, my accountant and I need to see your home." Her eyebrows shot up, her head tilting slightly as if she was waiting for a punchline. But there wasn't one. This wasn't about aesthetics or appearances. I didn't care if her throw pillows matched the rug. I wanted to see the walls that had witnessed her teenage moods, the hallway she shuffled through half asleep at 6 a.m., the kitchen where she poured herself a midnight glass of water. I wanted to grasp the essence of the place that shaped her before we built something new together. It was about honesty, not judgment, understanding, not evaluation. She paused for a moment, her eyes narrowing just a bit as she tried to read my expression. Then a soft breath escaped her lips. "All right," she replied, "but you might not find it as perfect as you think." I smiled. I wasn't looking for perfect. I was hoping for something real. When we finally went, I could tell she had tidied up a bit. Enough to show she cared, but not so much that it felt forced. Shoes were by the door, not perfectly lined up. A half-full tea mug sat on the table, forgotten. My accountant, ever the quiet observer, jotted down notes in his little pad. That's just how he operates. Watch first, speak later. I wasn't searching for anything in particular. I just absorbed it all. A childhood photo perched on a dusty shelf. A blanket neatly folded on the couch, as if she wrapped herself in it after a long day. The fridge was a collage of magnets, a tiny cat, a slice of watermelon. They hinted at the whimsy still alive in her, even if she didn't always let it shine. This wasn't a house begging for validation. It was a home, filled with memories and stories waiting to be told. It was a space that didn't need to impress anyone. At one point, my accountant glanced over at the kitchen and remarked, "Small but functional." I noticed her shoulders tense up just a bit, as if she felt a sting, worried he might have spotted a flaw. I jumped in before that unease could settle in. "I really like it," I said softly. "It feels warm, lived in." That wasn't just a line. I genuinely meant it. When we reached her bedroom, she hesitated at the door. "This part, well, it's not perfect." I stepped inside and saw everything she couldn't. A bookshelf crammed with well-loved novels, some missing spines but clearly cherished. A small desk overflowing with handwritten notes, corners curling, ink smudged. A plant that looked like it had been neglected a few times but somehow thrived anyway. It didn't shout effort, but it quietly whispered intention. That room held more authenticity than any staged apartment ever could. The kind of authenticity you only discover when someone stops putting on a show and just lets you in. My accountant kept his distance, sticking to his role. But I was taking my own mental notes, the kind you don't jot down, but remember forever. As we left, she watched me closely, trying to decipher the silence between my steps. I could see the question in her eyes. "What did you see?" So I answered before she could voice it. "This place, it's you," I said. "Not perfect, not polished, but real, and I wouldn't change a thing." She didn't respond, and she didn't need to. The way she looked at me, that gentle drop in her shoulders, the unspoken sigh of relief, it spoke volumes. Once we were far enough from her home, my accountant finally broke the silence. "Financially," he said, flipping through his notes, "there's nothing out of the ordinary. She lives within her means, no hidden debts, no luxury pretenses." I nodded, but my thoughts were elsewhere. I was still imagining the blanket on her couch and the tea she had forgotten to drink. "Did you notice," I asked him, "how everything in that house seemed to have a story? Nothing was, 'But I'm not paid to get sentimental.'" I smiled back at her. "That's okay. I am." When we reached the car, I hesitated before getting in. I found myself glancing back toward her street, feeling the urge to turn around and say something. Maybe I wanted to express how grateful I was that she let us in, how much I truly saw her. But instead, I decided to let that feeling linger for a bit, to let it grow. My accountant slid into the passenger seat and said, "I've been in hundreds of homes. Most people try too hard to make everything look perfect. They hide the chaos. But she didn't." I nodded in agreement. "That means something." "It means everything," he replied, his voice softer than usual. In that moment, I realized I wasn't just falling for her. I trusted her. Her home didn't try to impress. It didn't put on a show. It welcomed me in, showing me the authentic version of her, the one that didn't need any polishing. That night, she was all I could think about. Not just who she was with me, but who she was when she thought no one was watching. 2 days later, I found myself back there. No accountant this time, just me, a bag of groceries, and a reason to knock on her door again. I told myself it was to surprise her with dinner, but honestly, I just wanted to experience her space again without the distraction of someone evaluating it. The sun was setting as I arrived, casting long shadows on the sidewalk. Her windows glowed warmly from within, like something out of a dream. When she opened the door, her expression changed, from surprise to something softer. "You didn't mention you were coming," she said quietly, stepping aside. "I wanted to bring you something," I replied, holding up the grocery bag. "Thought we could cook together." She smiled, but I noticed a hint of fluster in her demeanor. Her hair was a bit tousled, her sweater oversized, and the coffee table was cluttered with papers. It felt like real life was unfolding. She started to gather the papers quickly, trying to clear some space. One slipped to the floor, and I bent down to pick it up, only to pause when I saw what it was. It wasn't just a receipt or a list. It was a vision. A hand-drawn sketch of a cozy little shop with supplier names jotted down in the margins and product ideas marked with stars next to the ones she was most excited about. "You're thinking of starting a business?" I asked softly. Her eyes lit up in surprise. She reached for the paper, a hint of shyness in her demeanor. "I wasn't ready to share this yet. It's just an idea, really. I'm not even sure if I'll follow through." I handed it back with care. "But you've already begun. Right here," I said, tapping the page. She glanced down, then back at me, a flicker of uncertainty in her gaze. "I didn't want you to think I was just looking for your help. Financial help, I mean. I've been saving for this, for years." I stepped a little closer. "You don't have to accept my help unless you want it. But it matters to me that you want something this deeply, that you've held on to this dream quietly. That's something special." I noticed a change in her expression then, a slight lifting of a burden, as if she'd been worried I might judge her ambition, or perhaps think too highly of it. We cooked in comfortable silence for a while, the kind that feels like a melody. I began to notice things I hadn't before. The little radio, worn and scratched, still playing beautifully. The glass jars filled with spices, each labeled in her tidy handwriting. That tiny plant by the window, which she kept turning toward the light, as if she refused to give up on it. Every little detail in her home told a story, a quiet testament to who she was. And as I stood there, I realized something else. When I first asked to see her home, it was about seeking reassurance. I wanted to make sure I was making the right choice. But now I didn't need that reassurance. I just wanted to be part of it. I wanted to share in the late nights with the radio playing softly, in the small victories, in the hope that one day that paper on the coffee table would transform into a door with her name on it. I wasn't searching for signs anymore. I was becoming one. This woman, this dreamer, wrapped in an oversized sweater, surrounded by her quirky magnets and her half-heartedly thriving plant, wasn't crafting a life for others to admire. No, she was creating it for herself, one intention at a time. And maybe that's what made it so beautiful. It wasn't about perfection, it was about purpose. She wasn't sitting around waiting to be saved or told who she could become. She was already herself, strong, independent, filled with a quiet kind of fire. All I truly wanted, was to build alongside her, not to fix, rearrange, or upgrade, just to add to it, brick by brick. Love doesn't begin in some distant future. It starts in spaces like this, over forgotten cups of tea, worn-out radios, and pages filled with dreams, still searching for their form. This home, this life, it didn't need to be anything more. It just needed to be.